if they can get them in the same team, it'd be brilliant. But unfortunately, unless the referee lets us have 12, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Or we'll just bench Allsop and just just have
11 outfield players,
just have a bit of confidence. Let's bench the goalkeeper.
So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Saturday, Birmingham City take on Oxford United at home at St.Andrews. And I'm sure you'll all agree, at the moment, the Blues games can't come fast enough. And the Blues have got off to a really good start. We've picked up 4 points with a 1-1 draw against Ipswich, a 2-1 win against Blackburn. And Oxford are currently sitting in 20th and yet to pick up a point. But they're going to want to get their campaign underway. But we face each other this Saturday. And in this video, we're going to talk about what to expect, what the lineups might be, and how we think the game may go. So, Dad, Oxford United at home on Saturday. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, looking forward to it, Matt. Oxford are one of those teams that we crossed over when we got relegated. They got promoted, so we haven't played them for a few years. But they did survive fairly comfortably in the end. After
Do you think that was because of Gary Rowett?
I think so. Yeah. Well, he's got the know-how, hasn't he? We know that. And they've had the advantage now of having a season in the Championship. So, I think this is, even though they've lost their first 2 games and we've had a good start, I think this, as you pointed out, I think their incentive is going to be, firstly, the Gary Rowett factor. He's going to know what to do at St.Andrews. And secondly, they're going to want to sort of put in a good performance and get their season up and running. So I don't think this is going to be an easy game by any means. But, the way we're playing at the moment and, the squad that we've got, we're quite capable of winning this comfortably. Yeah. But as we know, on paper, I think we've got a stronger squad, but we've said a million times before, games are not won on paper, are they? They're won on the pitch.
They're not, and I think a lot of Blues fans have dubbed this to be quite a frustrating game. When we think about last season, we think about terms like the low block and parking the bus and all these things. And I think when Oxford come St Andrews, they will adapt their strategy. And I think Gary Rowett has tried to get them to hold on to more possession and be a bit more progressive, but I don't think that will happen this weekend. St Andrews has become a fortress, hasn't it? We are very, very strong at home, and they will be a little bit more reserved. I think they will adapt. But just coming back, I think a good feature of the podcast at Midday is just reflecting on the last games that each team had. So, of course, we were at Ewood Park at the weekend, and we had a fantastic 2-1 win, 2 goals in 90+, brilliant. And Oxford, they lost 3-2 away at Hull. Yeah. And actually, the Oxford goals, have you seen any of these goals, Dad?
Yeah, just
the Oxford goals were great, weren't they?
Yeah.
2 really tidy finishes, one from Lancashire. He's looking like a good player on loan, a youngster from Tottenham. He's definitely one to watch. And their centre midfielder, Brannigan, as well. And I remember when we got relegated and Oxford got promoted, Blues fans were joking about stealing Brannigan because he was an experienced League One player. He's a good player, Brannigan, but 2 tidy finishes from Oxford. But the defending on pretty much all 3 goals were really poor. Yeah. I mean, the first one, he come down their right wing and he basically cut in. The kind of defender got caught in no man's land, kind of turned him a couple of times. If you are Gary Rowett, you'd be fuming at that because Gary Rowett puts defence first, doesn't he? Being solid at the back is what Gary Rowett is core principle is, and then you build on top of that. And again, they just got caught out defensively for 3 goals. And then, of course, Ollie McBurney, who I think will do well at Hull this season, bangs it in. I think it was 90+4 or something, 3 or 4. And a devastating way to lose a game, but on Blues' perspective, brilliant way to win a game. We did the complete opposite, didn't we, at Blackburn? But they're going to want to get their campaign started out, and they're not going to roll over for us. It's still going to be a tough game in terms of they're going to be battling for every ball, every blade of grass, and Gary Rowett will do his homework, and they'll be set up well, won't they?
They will be. If nothing else, they'll be very, very organised. I think it's going to, and this is no disrespect to Oxford whatsoever, because they are, they established themselves now as being a second season in the Championship. But I do feel it's going to be like a League One fixture in terms of the way teams came and tried to stop us. We've already seen that. Ipswich did it. I mean, could you believe that? Ipswich slowed the game down at the very beginning. I know. Oxford are going to do
and
that
Blackburn
as well. Blackburn did as well, but obviously we're at home. So I think Oxford will try and take the sting out of the game, slow things down and try and frustrate us. But we saw that every game last season, so it's nothing new to us. It's nothing new. And if we score early, that will open the game up then, because that means they'll have to come at us.
And on the flip side, Dad, if we concede early, they're going to shut up shop.
Yeah.
So I'm just countering your side there. I completely agree. If we score early, they're going to have to come at us. They're going to have to play a bit of football. But if for some reason, you know what happens in football, Blues fans. We've seen it all season long, especially last season before. Things happen that are frustrating. If they get an early goal, they're just going to shut up shop.
Yeah, so that's what we're both saying then. The first goal is crucial.
Key, absolutely.
It's crucial for both teams and will determine the way the game goes. I mean, we've got players that can unlock any team really, but of course they've got good players as well. I mean, I'll talk about some of their players that I like in a moment. But on current form, in league form, if you go back and take into account league games last season as well, last 10, Oxford have won 3, drawn 2 and lost 5. We've won 8, drawn 2 and lost none. So obviously from a form perspective, we're in better form. And of course, Oxford fans will say, well, you were in League One last season, but that's just the current
You have
form.
to go off something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean that stat will become more relevant as we've had more games, obviously, because it'll all be championship games. But clearly they've struggled in their first two. Well, they haven't struggled. They've lost their first two games. They lost at home to Portsmouth.
Only by 1 goal margin.
It was
on both.
It's still 0 points though, isn't
of course.
it?
What I'm saying is they're not getting thumped.
No, they're not getting thumped. And as you say, it was a last-minute winner for Hull.
And it was a mistake against Portsmouth. It was a bit. I can't remember exactly. I'm sure Oxford fans will correct me in the comments. Either it was a slip or a bad pass. It was a mistake that allowed that Portsmouth goal to happen as well. So again, fine margins.
It is, yeah. And if you look at their results last season as well, just to pick out a few wins, just to show you how what sort of success they had. I mean, they beat Sunderland 2-0. They narrowly lost 1-0 at home to Leeds United. They beat Sheffield United 1-0. And I could go through them. They're quite capable of beating the better teams as well. So it's not, that this is going to be a. It depends, I suppose, how they set themselves up and how they approach the game, really, in terms of what they want to do. But having lost their first 2 games, they really will want to get off to a good start. But one player that I really like for theirs, and I was really surprised he went there, was Michael Healick. They signed him in January, didn't they, from Huddersfield? I know that Huddersfield, Healick wanted to leave Huddersfield, but to go to Oxford, I thought, that's a big move, a big player for them to bring in. But we know for a fact he's a good central defender,
goal scorer,
but also he's very, very dangerous on set pieces. In fact, actually, last season he was their 3rd highest goal scorer.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I don't know what his goal scoring record for Oxford's been like, but against Huddersfield in the season they went down in the Championship, or the season before that, I can't remember exactly. He was like their top goal scorer, 2nd top goal scorer or something. He was. And that just shows how much Huddersfield then and now Oxford must be utilising set pieces.
Yeah, he was their 3rd highest goal scorer. I think he got 6 goals since January.
Solid.
And he's a real, a good player. So I quite like him. You mentioned Brannigan as well. He's a good player as well. Lancashire as well. Lancashire's an interesting one, isn't he? Because we researched him about 18 months ago when Chris Davies first took over. We did a podcast on Tottenham youngsters that may come to Blues, and he was one of them. I think he was one of the better ones.
He was.
He's prolific in the Premier League too, and in the Tottenham youth team. So he's going to be a very, very good player. Who's that player that did really well last season that went to Leighton Orient? He was a Tottenham youngster as well.
Charlie Kelman? No,
it wasn't Charlie Kelman.
Jamie Donnelly.
Jamie Donnelly, yeah. He is, he was put into that team, but this is another move that Tottenham are making to plant their young players into better teams, and he'll do well at Oxford. I mean, they set up surprisingly. We know that Gary Rowett, he sets us up a lot as a 4-4-2. Well, on occasions he did, and he did adopt it, but he set them up last week against Hull as a 4-2-3-1, same formation as us, with Mark Harris, who was their leading goal scorer last season, as their number 9, and Lancashire as their number 10 behind him. Then he had Brannigan. He's their engine man, really, but he's more creative. So I'd liken him more to a Paik than an Iwata type of player, because he's quite creative and he does like to push forward and score goals. Obviously, Healick at the back, he's a bit of a solid defender, and there's good players. And don't forget, they've also got Sariki Dembele, who used to be with us, and now they've got Luke Harris as well. So there's going to be a few familiar faces that are going to come back to St.Andrews. I really hope and I really think that Gary Rowett will get a massive reception.
I hope so.
Because he obviously,
it wasn't his fault we got relegated.
No, it wasn't.
It was the phrase that comes to my mind. It's too little, too late. It wasn't Gary Rowett's fault. If he'd have been given an extra couple of games, he might have done it. But I don't think he did much wrong. I think, bless Gary Rowett, I think the one thing that comes to people's minds when they think of Gary Rowett is Ollie Burke playing against Rotherham away. Yeah. And a couple of little tactical things that went. But, I don't have any ill thoughts towards Gary Rowett. I actually really like the guy. I think he was prematurely sacked when they brought Zola in. I'll give all that. When he was manager and then Zola come in, he was left and sacked in the wrong circumstances. He would have done great with us that season. And then he come back to try and save us, and it just didn't work out. But no, for me personally, nothing but good things towards Gary Rowett.
I honestly think, Matt, that if he hadn't been appointed as Oxford manager, I think they had a really high chance of going down. I think it's his know-how, his understanding of the Championship and the way he sets up teams up that actually, because they went on a really good run when he first came in. I think maybe they did lose their first game, but they went on an unbeaten run of winning loads loads of games, and that's what kept them up. They haven't done a huge amount of business in the transfer window, and they've got I've mentioned this in previous podcasts. One of my favourite named players. They brought in a defensive midfielder from Hercules in Holland, Brian D. Kirkschmacher. Love that name. And also Brodie Spencer, a right back from Huddersfield. And that's the only two they bought. I don't think they spent any money. They've lost a few players, Josh McEachran, Ruben Rodriguez. There's a few that have gone out, but they haven't done a huge amount. But that's not such a bad thing, because if you think about it, they survived last season fairly comfortably. And they've obviously got a team that knows how to play in the Championship. So why make huge amounts of changes if you don't have to? So I think they're going to be a bit of a, they're going to be maybe a tough nut to crack. This Oxford team.
The word that comes to my mind is going to be frustrating. There's going to be no doubt that there'll be some running down the clock. There'll be some injuries going down. There'll be, the dark arts, so to speak. They're direct as well. In fact, I remember when they lost to Hull at the weekend, and a lot of Hull fans jumped in the Oxford comment section and was like, "Oh, well, you deserve that for playing hoofball." Again, hoofball being a League One kind of strategy, isn't it? It's that direct approach which we see with a lot of teams. By that, I didn't mean that disrespectfully. Oxford are a rightly and deserved Championship team. I'm just making the point is hoofball is associated with that.
Yeah.
Just get it a bit like Wrexham, isn't it? In terms of when we talk about. In their strategy in League One was hoof, pepper the box. It's that direct approach, which I think we'll see this weekend. When they do get the ball or they do get a chance, they will try and pepper our box as much as they can. Long throws are back as well, Dad. They've got a player called Will Volks.
Yeah, Will Volks. A very experienced player.
In the centre midfielder. And he's...
where was he last year? Was he at Wickham? He was... I'm not sure. He's a very experienced player, Will Volks. So I think he's obviously brought him for that experience.
He's their long throw specialist, Dad. We saw it against Hull. I think one of their goals might have come from a long throw, or a good chance came from a long throw. So they're definitely going to be a threat from corners, long throws, set pieces in general. And as you say, Dad, Lancashire's pretty crucial in the box. Brannigan can shoot from distance. So again, just little things here we do have to be very mindful of. I think the home advantage is going to play a massive part. It's going to be bouncing like it was against Ipswich, in my opinion. I think the noise will really bring, because we're a Championship club now. And I guess the reason why I reference the atmosphere is I think we should still keep the noise up and still get behind them, even if it is a frustrating afternoon that is reminding us of a League One game. Because we do know last season the atmosphere did get a little bit flat down St.Andrews. But in my opinion, that was through no lack of effort. It was because the football was sometimes drab, not from a Blues perspective here, just the nature of that low block football. So I want us to bring the noise. I want us to create that early pressure. An early goal would be the cherry on top to the start of this game, if I'm honest. And force them into some errors, force them into mistakes, put that pressure on. And the analogy I always do, Dad, is put that foot on the neck and don't let them breathe. Yeah,
and like you say, I do liken this to a League One game. You mentioned the atmosphere as well, Matt. Now, every game in League One, we were massive favourites to win, particularly at home, right? So far in the Championship, we was at home to Ipswich, and we sort of
weren't favourites to win that.
No, exactly. But we will be favourites to win this one because we're at home. We've started well. They haven't started so good. So this is why I think we're going to see a lot of similarities with what happened in League One. I'm not for Oxford United fans. I'm not saying you're a League One. So I'm not. I'm just saying the comparisons of what we saw last season and how we found teams come to St Andrews, set up shop, tried to stop us and frustrate us, and tried to catch us on the break.
I think again, Dad. I think open-minded Oxford fans won't take that personally or disrespectfully. It's just a style of play that they have. It's like Wrexham fans. I remember I got a load of stick one time for saying they like to play direct and get balls in the box, but it was a compliment because they're good at it. It doesn't mean a team can't be good at a particular style of football. And Oxford are that kind of team that do frustrate, and they will catch you on the break, and they will be a bit more direct. That's all we're getting at.
Well, every team, Matt, has to play to their strengths. They have to. So as a manager, they're going to know what they're good at. They're going to know, and they're obviously clearly have going to have done their homework on us. So they're going to work out what players need to do what and when. They'll have a game plan. So it's just going to be one of them games. But like I say, it's nothing new for us. So if the game does go on and it's 0-0 at half time and it's getting late, the Blues fans will just get right behind as usual, and that might be enough to push them over the line. But I was impressed with Oxford last season. Just a couple of strengths that they've got, and this is just from my research. Attacking set pieces. Now we've already mentioned Michael Healy. He's a massive threat from set pieces. That's going to be corners, free kicks, even the long throw. They're also good at creating scoring chances and very strong at coming back from losing positions as well. They did that a number of times last season. They do like protecting a lead. A really good point you made, Matt, about if they score first, it's going to be an even tougher nut to crack, isn't it? So we need to ensure that we score first.
No silly mistakes, concentration early.
Yeah, they win a lot of aerial duels as well. There, of course, are a few weaknesses. They do create a lot of chances, but they do waste a lot of chances as well. They're very weak, to my research, at avoiding offside, and also they're very weak at defending through ball attacks. So if we can get the lots of Kyogo, Stansfield, pushing the ball through to them, that might be an area we can exploit. But overall, I think they proved last season that they are right to be in the Championship. They weren't in the last day of the season in the mix to get relegated, so they did very well. So they're more of a Championship team than us at the moment. Even though we've got a history of the Championship, I know Blues fans will say we were in there 13 years and blah blah. But what I mean is that they were there last season and we weren't, so they would have played all these teams already and they'd be more familiar with them. But as Birmingham City, we are at home, we're sold out, and we know that we generally do quite well when that happens.
When we sell out, we win. Generally.
Yeah. Apart from Ipswich.
I remember when
but we should have won.
But we didn't lose.
No, but we should have won.
Yeah, we should have won. We didn't lose. And I remember Tom Wagner said that. It was in the build-up to the Preston game, I think, when Jay Stansfield scored the 1-0 winner.
Yeah.
I remember before that game, he said, when we sell out St.Andrews, we win. Yeah. And since then, we've pretty much gone on a crazy run of form at home. I mean, fair enough, there's been some draws in there. I appreciate that. But
I think it's 26, is it?
We haven't lost in something like 26.
26 or 20. It's 20. I'll have to get my... we should know this, really. But it's in my mind, it's 24.
There's too much to remember.
No.
Yeah,
I'm sure someone will put in the podcast what it is. But we've got 20-plus games that we are unbeaten.
Blues then, Dad, let's get into it. So I always do the defence and goalkeeper. So I'm gonna let you do that today. And then I'm going to do the midfield and attack. And then we'll just swap as we go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's going to be a slight change here because we know that Alex Cochrane's injured. It's nothing serious, I understand. But
is he still out, is he?
Yeah, I believe that he. What I read earlier today was that he's got a slight knock. I don't think he's going to be fit for this. So what I'm going to go for is the team that started the second half at Blackburn. So that'll be Allsop in goal. Osei Samuel on the right, Clara Neumann in the middle. Whoops. Neumann in the middle. Sorry, Phil, if you're watching. And left back, I'm going for Laird.
Yeah, I've gone for exactly the same, Dad.
Yeah.
Even if maybe this is... I wouldn't say controversial, but maybe just to put it in the mix as well, though. Even if Cochrane was back, I think Laird's earned the shirt to be left back. It's a bit of a tricky one because Laird's a right footer, isn't he? And obviously, we do prefer the balance a left-footed player gives you on the left back and the left side of centre back.
But what he did against Blackburn,
if you come on, Dad, and you play like that, you've earned your shirt the next game.
He destroyed that left-hand side.
It's as simple as that. Yeah. He got the penalty. He in the build-up to our second goal, fantastic. He has earned his place to start. But so, in my opinion, Dad, fully agree, Laird. So in the midfield, then I've gone for Paik and Iwata in the two midfielders. I've gone for Keshi and Gray on the wings. I know they're a bit interchangeable, but for the interest of this, I'll say Keshi on the left, Doyle on the right. Sorry, Gray on the right. I've gone for Doyle in the 10, and I've gone for Stansfield up front.
Oh, so you've gone for Kyogo on the bench?
I have.
Oh, okay.
Because, Dad, we talk about impact off the bench. Yeah. By the way, this isn't me being really reactive and saying bench Kyogo is rubbish. Nothing like that. But Tommy Doyle had a big impact when he came on at Blackburn as well, in my opinion. So I want to see Tommy Doyle in the 10. And I think Stansfield and Kyogo can change, or Stansfield could drop back, and then if it's not working or whatever. So, in my opinion, if you come on and you change a game, you deserve to hold that shirt. And for me, that's Doyle in the 10 this time, coming into Stansfield in the 9.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from with Doyle. I'd like to see him on the pitch, and this is our problem at the moment. We've got so many good players. Where do you put them all? I haven't gone for that. I've put him back on the bench again, Doyle. Although if he was starting, if he was to start, I'd be overjoyed. Yeah. I've gone for the same lineup as you. The only difference is I've gone for Stansfield in the 10. And Kyogo as a number. I
just think, Dad, Kyogo against Blackburn wasn't as effective as he was against Sheffield United. And when Tommy Doyle came off on the bench, he did. I wouldn't so far say he changed the game, but he was very effective. Laird's the one who came on, who took the highlight really. But again, if you come on and change the game, I think you've earned your shirt. So for me, that means Doyle in the 10 and Stansfield in the 9. And you can't bench Stansfield after the Blackburn performance because in that last 15-20 minutes, he was an absolute animal.
I don't think you could bench Stansfield anyway. I think he's brilliant.
No, but a lot of fans might go, why are you playing Stansfield instead of Kyogo? It's in the reverse all the way around, maybe. But for me...
What about this? What about this? Again, this is only just me thinking off the top of my head now. What about playing them both? So what about having Kyogo as the number 9, Doyle as the number 10, and put Stano on the right, on the left?
Me personally, I just don't like Stansford on the wings.
Yeah, I don't either. But I'm saying if you want to try and fit them all in, that would mean that Anderson would drop to the bench then.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against. Again, it's a brilliant problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of our starting
we'll
lineup,
get the opinions of the Blues fans as we always do. Yes, a lot of them will give us their opinion on the starting lineup. So let's know what you think about that, because it's a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? Trying to fit in Tommy Doyle, Kyogo, and Stansford, and if they can get them in the same team, we'd be brilliant. But unfortunately, unless the referee lets us have 12, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Or we'll just bench Allsop and just put just have
11 outfield players,
just have a bit of confidence. Let's bench the goalkeeper. But no,
I think that coming back to your point though, I think it's a good point, because I think Keshi's looked a bit tired this season, in my opinion. By the way, that's not me saying he's had poor games or he's been ineffective. I think he just looks fatigued.
No, Keshi's been brilliant for us. He was fantastic last season. Probably one of the standout players last season.
Shocks as well.
But I agree with you. I think in the first couple of games he's been okay, but I don't think okay is good enough anymore. And I think that's I think the opposition teams, Ipswich and Blackburn, have really stopped him. They've done the homework on him, but of course he's got to be stronger and been able to get round them. So he's had good moments in games, but is it something that we maybe, unless he sort of ups his game, is he going to potentially lose his place? I don't know.
But Dad, we are in the market for 2 more wingers. Apparently, this is what I read the other day. Again, it's all just talk on social media. There's nothing official from the club or anything. They would never release that anyway. But I believe we're after 2 more wingers, and I think Keshi will be a vulnerable first team starter.
By the way, if my daughter's watching this, Keshi Anderson's her favourite player, so she's probably going to kill us when she. But we're not. Me and Matt are not saying that Keshi's a bad player by any means. We're not. We both love him. We think he's brilliant. He's been fantastic for the team since he came in. But I think the standard now we're playing at, I don't think being being good is good enough now. I think you've got to be better than that.
It's hard to tell after 2 games, I think. I think my perspective is just he looks tired. He looks like...
Yeah, 2 games in.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is. He just looks like he's running out of energy about the 60-minute mark. He's kind of like hasn't got the energy in the legs for the full 90 at the minute. Again, who knows what's gone on behind the scenes? Maybe he's just getting back up to match practice. Maybe, I don't know, who knows what's going on there. But I mean, maybe it's just me. I've no idea. To me, though, Keshi looks tired.
Yeah.
So that's all my opinion on it. I think he will still have value this season. And as I said, we really loved Keshi, and he had a great season last season for us in League One. But yeah, for me, just a little bit tired at the minute. But I've plumped for him to start.
But one thing I will say, Matt, is that if it is one of those games that we're predicting where it's like being frustrated, we need a goal. At some point, we'll see Lyndon Dykes in this game as well, because he's strong, he's physical, and he will stand up to. Well, I'm not that the other players won't, but they're just different types of players. But when we need that extra bit of physicality and a bit of strength, Lyndon Dykes, I think, will probably see him maybe from 70 onwards.
I think it's going to be a physical game as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be a battle.
Yeah. As always, Matt, it comes down to a prediction now. Yeah. So do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first.
Okay. Now, I think this will be a cage game. So I thought about it. What score do I give here? Because you got the possibility that that if it is an open, expansive game, there could be a few goals in it. But I don't think it will be. I've gone for a narrow 1-0 win to Blues.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, but something tells me that we are going to have a frustrating afternoon. 100%. I completely know why you've picked 1-0, but I've got a feeling we're going to go 1-0 up, sort of maybe midway through the second half, and we're going to get another one a little bit later in the game. So I've gone for Blues 2-0.
2-0.
So similar, I could totally appreciate and understand why you've gone for 1-0, because I was thinking exactly the same. Yeah. I just got a feeling I'm going to get 2 this weekend.
It's just one of those, do you know when we used to go to a game last season and we used to know that sometimes it's going to be a bit patient? I think it's going to be one of those games, and Oxford are a team that will clearly have a game plan to try it. I think catch it on the break, so it's not going to be open and expansive. No. And if they score a goal as well, they ain't going to go chasing for 2, 3, 4, whatever they can. I think they'll and Gary Rowett will be really good at letting them do that as well. So both narrow wins, really. Me more narrow than you. I've gone 1-0. You've gone 2-0. But I'm looking forward to it. It's another game at home, and if we can, after the win at Blackburn, if we can get another 3 points here, it starts to put more points on the board and gets us we'll get that momentum continuing.
7 points from the first 3 games when you played Ipswich, Blackburn, and Oxford. It's not a bad return. If we get the 3 points, of course, that isn't. And it's going to be a difficult Saturday for sure in terms of energy and frustration. But absolutely a good start that would be, wouldn't it, Dad? But it's our first Saturday at 3:00 home game this season. We love it, don't we? 3:00 Saturday, always the best time to have a football game.
I don't think we're going to get loads at this time because I think a lot of games are going to be moved. But for me, this is the optimum time to go to a full match. So I can't wait.
Absolutely. But as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. And maybe you're an Oxford United supporter. You stumbled across this channel or this video, please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below as well. And if you did like this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also over on Spotify now as well, so you can listen or watch us over there too. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press that bell icon so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.